Hi. So my name's Eric. I'm from Washington State, and I am an AUDHD kind of person. Sort of diagnosed, sort of not. I'll explain that later. I'm making a video today because I realized that I need to make these videos because the kind of stuff that I experience, the kind of crap that I do, it feels very isolating to have these struggles, sensory overload, meltdowns, shutdowns, all the things that make me feel like I can't do the normal life that most people seem to be able to. Every time that I witness another person expressing similar kinds of life experiences, I feel less alone. And not only that, but I feel less, I don't feel so much shame because it makes sense what's happening to me. It's not just a character flaw of some kind. So what am I talking about? Well, as I said, meltdowns are part of my life. I'm not sure if you can see on this camera, but there's a little white scar right there. It goes kind of far back on my finger. That was from a meltdown a couple years ago, where I was making breakfast for myself one morning, feeling overloaded by the messy dishes I had to clean before I could start cooking, and for some reason I was keeping the pancake mix in a glass cylinder at the time, that when I was putting it away, my frustrated meltdown brain didn't perceive the danger enough to prevent myself from smashing the glass into the cupboard, cut through my hand like butter. It looked like my fingers were going to fall off. They were leaning back, and it was the worst thing I ever did to myself. And I would have thought somehow that after that experience, when I had meltdowns, I wouldn't be tempted to hurt myself at all. But it's really, there's no, like, my executive functioning, it basically is not functioning at those times. And so what happens, it basically feels like every single cell in my body is coursing with all of the adrenaline and cortisol that it could possibly produce. And I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that I'm freaking out. I'm panicking. It's not quite like a panic attack because it doesn't just feel like terror and dread and fear. It feels like fear plus rage. So what usually happens when I have a meltdown, that button gets pushed, I'm totally overloaded, and I'm like, oh no, I'm going to break something. Oh no, I'm going to hurt myself. What do I do? How do I redirect? How do I de-escalate? And there have been some times when I did successfully de-escalate somehow by making myself feel those feelings as like something I could cry about. Crying, I'm still feeling bad, but it's like a way to get it out that is not really destructive. But I can't always get there. So today, it's summertime. It's starting to get warm here in the Northwest, and this morning I had both fans on. I had both lamps on too because it was morning. I'm sensitive to light and sound, and I don't always recognize. Sometimes I ignore it until it becomes a problem. I was thinking about the errands that I had to run today, which would have included waiting in a long line outside, and it would have been a good chore to do. I still feel like I should do it. But at that particular moment, my body just said no. It said, heck no. And because I knew that I needed to do this, started to feel basically like a war broke out in my nervous system. And I had that feeling, oh no, I'm going to break something. I'm going to hurt myself. No, what do I do? So I went to the part of my apartment that's furthest away from my neighbor's walls. And I stomped on the ground. I thought that would get my anger out. But what happened instead was I immediately felt my ankle not shatter, but like I did something. Just excruciating pain that I collapsed onto the floor for a few minutes and have since been hobbling around. I can't put any weight on it. And I'm injured again. My right hand, my dominant hand, about 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 6 months ago maybe, I had a meltdown. And same thing, oh no, I have to make sure I don't damage anything or hurt myself. And it just keeps going on and on, this feeling of rage and kind of like panic. And eventually what happened was, I don't even know how, but I was flailing around and I jammed this part of my wrist into the door or the wall, and it was a similar kind of thing. I don't know what I did. I don't think I broke anything, but still to this day, when I get down on the ground to crawl over to my cat or whatever, sometimes I'll crumple onto the floor if I put too much weight on this right hand. And it's been 6 months. This is my dominant hand. And because of this, I'm just complaining about all my injuries, but it sucks. I play guitar. I'm not very good, but it's it helps me cope sometimes. And I've been doing it since I was basically a kid. And so there's this problem, though, that I never really learned how to practice correctly. I grip too hard, I guess. And so now when I try to play, I guess because of my injury as well, my hands, they just hurt very quickly and so badly that I can't really enjoy playing lots of the time. And now, so I'm on medical leave from my work because I was having meltdowns on the job, and I was working as a paraeducator for young adults on the spectrum and with other disabilities, which I enjoyed. It's very meaningful. It's a pretty cool opportunity to get to help people who need help, but also people who are dealing with things that are similar to what you're dealing with, because I learned a lot about how I was autistic. Oh, I do the same things that this student's doing. Oh, I do the same things that student's doing. Those are stims, and that's a meltdown. And I thought I was just weird, and none of them really make much eye contact. And that was always extremely hard for me, and I didn't know why. So it's cool to learn about yourself that way, but it was often overstimulating for me, and unfortunately I would have meltdowns where a couple times I started punching myself in the face or banging my head on the wall. Obviously not in front of a lot of people, but it's still embarrassing because sometimes it did happen in front of people, and other times I just would have a meltdown and just leave, basically, which is super, super not okay. And so this about 2 months ago, I had a meltdown that was so bad I basically just couldn't go back. And now I am looking at the future. I've made some job applications for part-time janitor and stuff like that might be more solitary, because I wanted to be a therapist too. I went to grad school to try to do that, and I didn't do that, but I growing up was like, oh, I have all these problems because of my trauma, and if I can learn how to heal myself by learning everything about psychology, like I can help others, and that could be my job. But it didn't work out that way. In grad school, I really, really struggled because again, I didn't know I was autistic. Um, I couldn't connect and put myself out there like my classmates were blossoming into. It wasn't happening for me. I was overloaded all the time. Um, and I couldn't finish my assignments in my second year, and I didn't go back. And so, yeah, the career stuff's like a question mark now. I thought paraeducation is like still a helping role, so that'll be good for me. But now I'm finding that I'm fantasizing about just doing solitary work. Like part of my job as a para was to help my students do household chores and like go to volunteer sites and like do job stuff. And now I just want to do that stuff. I want to just clean a place or sort some things. So yeah, learning about myself by doing this job. But I'm sort of undiagnosed because I flew under the radar. They said I had ADHD when I was a kid, or actually inattentive type ADD, and that was it. And when I would have outbursts, no one ever thought about autism. But I was having meltdowns all the time. And it wasn't until, well, I suspected it for years. In high school and college, I kind of privately would see other people who were autistic and realize that those are my people. They express themselves in almost the same way that I do. They experience the world evidently in very similar ways. And here we are in the midst of this environment that feels not necessarily always hostile, but definitely like alien and uncomfortably just too difficult to fit in. And so my girlfriend at the time, well, she's still my girlfriend, but at that time, when I was transitioning out of my previous job as an ESL teacher, she pointed out to me that the stuff I was dealing with sounded like autism. She's autistic, her twin's autistic. And I never really taken it seriously, even though I suspected it privately. And once I looked into it, it was like a light went on, and it's like, okay, I might have PTSD, I might have like behavioral stuff I'm still working out, but like I have a neurotype that causes me to become overwhelmed, overloaded, and to have shutdowns and meltdowns because of that. Just the sensory thing. It's not that I'm like projecting my trauma, or that I'm like having tantrums, or that I just want to be left alone or whatever. Like those might be elements, but really it's a sensory issue. And so it's super important to find out this stuff about oneself. It's very expensive as an adult to go pay for an autism assessment where I live. So I haven't done that, but paying for an ADHD assessment was more affordable for me. And when I got that done a year ago, she said that I had something called nonverbal learning disorder, which was really, good verbal skills, and then kind of lower, average to lower than average other skills. And it's associated with type 1 autism, or what they used to call Asperger's. And yeah, it's funny because I had friends who would tell me that I reminded them of their Asperger's friends back then, and I still, it's like, well, what do you do with that information? I privately thought like, oh, maybe I have Asperger's, or like I probably do. But now that I'm a working person, and you have to show up every day, and you only have so much sick leave and vacation leave you can use to recover with, it's become really important for me to understand this stuff and to learn how to work with it. So Yeah, part of the way that I cope my whole life almost, but really in the last 10 years, kind of became um, desperate, desperate desire for meaning, which made me see patterns and synchronicities all around me that may have been there and may not have been there, but um, when I was 10 years ago, I had returned to the States from Japan where I did my first job as an ESL teacher for 2 years. Very overwhelming for me. Way too social. But then I came back to the States and got the same job because that's just what was in my mind is what I will do until I become a therapist. I had it all figured out. But yeah, it was a major challenge. I wasn't feeling like anything was really working out for me. I was just like surviving and like barely surviving. Everything was so overwhelming to me, and I didn't have a like enjoyment and like private like fun for myself anymore. I felt like I was just always recovering, and so my brain, I guess, just sort of broke a little bit, and I started thinking that the universe was communicating with me and guiding me back to Washington State, where I went to college, and I really preferred living. It's a calmer environment for me because there's not such harsh sun or not as many people. It's not quite as action-packed as where I was in California. And I managed to get back here because the company I was teaching for has a school on the college campus I graduated from, and I transferred there basically through science synchronicities. I took a vacation up in January of 2018 to Seattle to visit friends, and the whole time I was there I just felt so good and nostalgic that I just had to come back. And by February I had moved back because I found that job, and the friends I had visited like had just had a room open up, and one of their roommates that night when I was visiting them, and we found out I might be able to stay. I wanted to stay. They had a room. Their roommate comes back from the library. He puts a book down on the table in front of us, and the title was Signs of Things to Come. And we all were like, what? So it just kind of ramped up for me, the synchronicities, and thinking that something really exciting was happening. And my life got really, really hard. I kind of went from like, yeah, it's happening, all the good stuff, like, yay, to like, oh no, this is hard. Oh no, I'm like barely surviving. Oh no, I hate this. Oh no, how am I ever going to escape this? I didn't make enough money to just like to move, and I wasn't really happy after very long where I was living. And yeah, so life got hard, and then, like I mentioned, my girlfriend at that time pointed out that my struggles sounded like autism. She was a friend from college too, and I like reconnected with her after another relationship had ended. I started looking into the dating scene, the internet, the apps and stuff that we have, and like she found me. She was like, "Hey, buddy," and we hung out, and we started dating, and she had space for me to live with her roommates, and that's what happened, and it was a much nicer environment for me. Her twin is also autistic, and so it all just started clicking into place that that's what was going on for me too. I got a new job through them with the school district, so I moved from ESL to paraeducation, which I've described to you. It ended up being too stimulating for me, but yeah, life has been weird. I try to believe that it's working out for my benefit. Um, but as an autistic person with the sensory stuff that I deal with, it often just feels torturous, torturous and hellish. Um, so yeah, it's like my brain's coping really, really hard. But that's life. So I don't know if I'm going to upload this. I might. Um, I'm feeling a little bit like I was too rambly, but my intention is not to be an entertainer. It's just to provide something that others can relate to because, like I said, finding that kind of content really, really helped me so much. So, yeah, autism's a thing. It's not just you. You're not just lazy. We live in a world that was designed for one kind of person, but then there's lots of other kinds of people who are sort of falling through the cracks. And part of my harebrained optimism is hoping that we're going to see this awareness blossom and it'll become mainstream to accommodate people and, you know, let them have jobs that match their abilities and their desires and their energy levels. And yeah, I have hopes for all of these nice things. So I guess I'll end on that note. Thanks for being here. Again, my name's Eric, and I'm from Washington State. And I'm sort of diagnosed, sort of undiagnosed autistic guy.